bit of news that we were anticipating but dreading. But don't worry, we'll get a little bit more into that a little later. Good morning, everybody. Those of you joining us on the GBN Television Facebook page, those of you on the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, those of you on GBN Television channel 7, 11, and 20, and the loyal listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9. It is Monday, March 23rd, 2020. We're under a new dispensation, a new phase in our fight against and with COVID-19. Don't worry, have faith, everything will be all right. Good morning to all the folks joining us across the Caribbean: Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Antigua, Anguilla, Dominica, Barbados, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Montserrat. Where am I missing? Did I say Anguilla, Barbados? Guyana, Venezuela, Bermuda, Aruba, Curacao. Good morning, everybody. Those of you internationally, US, UK, Canada, Switzerland, Sweden, Australia, Austria, Montserrat, Timbuktu, Nigeria, Botswana. Where else am I missing? Good morning, everybody. My mind is a little bit frayed this morning, as can be, expected. But don't worry, we'll get back into the groove of the thing. Let's try and brisk up ourselves. Everything will be okay. Good morning, Levi. How are you this morning? Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's calm. Let's stay calm in these times. As Laura Lisa says in the song behind me, my theme song for the week, better days are coming. Yep. As usual on Good Morning Grenada, let's start with the word of the day. This morning's word of the day is lampoon. A lampoon, Lampoon. It's a verb which means to make the subject of a satire. Lampoon. It can be a noun or a verb. The noun was first used in English in the 17th century and is still found in use, especially in the names of humor publications such as the Harvard Lampoon. Both the noun and the verb come from the French word, which probably originated from a word that means the first person or plural imperative of the verb. It was a frequent refrain in the 17th century French satirical poems. Word of the day this morning, a lampoon, Lampoon. It's a verb which means to make the subject of a satire. And this morning's COVID-19 tip of the day is to protect your home when you enter. Or protect your home when you enter. There are some things that we need to do when entering our homes in our fight to keep coronavirus away from ourselves and loved ones. Some of the things you do: 1, try not to touch anything as soon as you get home. 2, take off your shoes before entering your home. 3, take off your outer clothing and put it in a laundry bag or basket. 4, leave your bag, purse, keys, etc. in a box at the entrance. Shower if you are unable to wash all exposed areas well. Clean your phone and glasses with soap and water or alcohol. Clean the surfaces of what you have brought outside with bleach before storing. Remove your gloves carefully, throw them away and wash your hands. And remember that it is not possible to do a total disinfection. The objective is to reduce the risk. Wash your hands, take off your shoes, wipe down everything, leave everything at the door, bathe. Even before you start to settle in, bathe. Something I saw somebody point out on social media recently, washing our hair/head for the men. We wash everything else and we don't wash our hair on a daily basis. There could be germs and viruses living on top by here, so that we don't wash on a daily basis. So remember that, and when you lie down on the pillow and you turn with your head, it leaves on the pillow and then you turn back so and it end up on your face, and you understand. So remember that in our cleaning processes, that our hair is also an important part of the cleaning initiative. All right, it's not business as usual, so we're going to skip what is celebrated today. We're going to get right into some information that I think I need to share with you effective today. As I guess most of you are aware, yesterday it was announced that Grenada got its first confirmed case of the coronavirus. It is reported that it is a returning national that returned to the island last Monday, 1 week ago. The results for her tests came in on midnight on Saturday. The announcement was made yesterday by Minister of Health Nicholas Steele, and in that light a few things are taking place as we try to contain the spread of the virus. The first one In an advisory issued yesterday, it was advised that the Morris Bishop International Airport will be closed to all passenger flights effective midnight tonight. However, in a revised advisory, the airport will be closed of midnight last night. So this morning, there are no commercial flights coming into the island effective midnight last night. I understand there are a lot of people at MBIA who are hoping to, I guess, leave the island in the process, and it's chaos because I guess they expected it to close tonight and not last night. So it's drama, I understand, at the airport. So please take note, the airport is closed to all incoming to all commercial passenger traffic effective midnight last night. Another thing taking place, Osprey Lines, Dolly Sea and Amelia, they have all suspended passenger travel between the islands of Grenada, Carriacou and PT Martinique for the next 2 weeks effective today. So those of you who were hoping to go to and from Carriacou and PT Martinique this morning, the passenger travel has all been suspended by the major lines, Osprey, Dolly Sea and Amelia. So take note of that as well. Let me see what else is happening. Right. The Grand Dance Bus Association has issued an advisory as well yesterday saying that, hold on, let me read to make sure that I get to the correct phrasing. With social distancing, it is no longer feasible to ply the Grand Dance route, and also taking into consideration the decrease in revenue because of decreased numbers of passengers. While they await the finalization of a proper transportation protocol, the Grand Dance Bus Association says they are forced to strengthen their fight against COVID by temporarily withdrawing their services effective today. So those of you who depend on the Grand Dance buses to get to and from your destinations, whether it's work or to play, which we shouldn't be playing, but just in case, just please take note that the Grand Dance Bus Association is withdrawing their services. I understand they are scheduled to meet with health officials sometime today. So in the first instance, the withdrawal is only for today, and depending on the outcome of the meeting with the officials. So those of you take note. I saw a notice on social media that there are buses still plying the route. So if you want to take the chance, I guess, as much. But for the most part, Grand Dance Bus Association has withdrawn their services. I'm not sure about other buses across the island. This is the only advisory that I've seen so far. I believe that is all the information, the notices that I've received. Let me double check my brain a little bit. Yes, I think that's all. Just a reminder that the hotlines are available on both Flow and Digicel platforms. So if you are experiencing a fever, if you're coughing, sneezing, or have shortness of breath, you are advised to call the hotlines. They are 45-virus and 53-virus. 458-4787 and 538-4787. Those are the hotlines that you need to call. This morning, well, usually on my way to GBN's studio, I have full view of the Parliament building in Mount Welldale coming up the lane. They usually have different colored lights lighting the outside of the building. This morning, I was happy to see that the building was lit with the national colors, red, green, and yellow. And it brought a smile to my face amidst our first diagnosed case. And it reminded me that Grenadians are a resilient people. We are resilient. This too shall pass. We just have to do our own individual parts to ensure that we stop, minimize, reduce, restrict the spread of coronavirus, COVID-19, by implementing all the things that we've been doing over the past few weeks, which includes washing our hands, proper sneeze and cough etiquette, ensuring that we do what we need to do to protect ourselves and our loved ones. We shall get over this. We are 473 strong. This is just one case. Do not panic, remain calm, and keep doing what we've been doing. We've been successful thus far in being one of the last countries to be diagnosed with COVID-19. And let's keep it at that. One case is one too many, but it's one case. So let's remember that as we go about today. Do not panic. Continue doing what we're doing. This too shall pass. Let's get ready for this morning's newscast. Those of you on radio, we're going to bring you the morning edition of news. Those of you on television, we are going to bring you just a snippet of the news conference from yesterday where the announcement was made, as updated information has been announced over the past 24 hours or less. This is Good Morning Grenada on Classic. Keep it locked right here.
Everybody, welcome to this special press briefing of the Ministry of Health. My name is Leslie Ann Johnson. Thank you so much for being here with us. To my immediate left, the Minister for Health, the Honorable Nicholas Steele. To his left, the Acting Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Francis Martin, and to his left, Dr. George Mitchell, the COVID-19 Response Coordinator. And of course, we're talking COVID-19. I'll hand over to you, Minister for Health.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you all, brothers and sisters and members of the media who are here, and all of those who are listening or looking on through the length and breadth of Grenada or wherever else. Over the past months, and most definitely in the last several weeks, the Ministry of Health has been working assiduously to hopefully, or at best, prevent the introduction of COVID-19 onto our shores. But however, we also were realistic in that those efforts were meant to delay any possible introduction in order to give us time, precious time to prepare, precious time to plan, and precious time to be able to deal with what, as every other country in the world is beginning to realize, is the inevitable introduction. So, I announce that today, Sunday, March 22nd, 2020, the first laboratory confirmed case of COVID-19 in Grenada was diagnosed. Officials of the Ministry of Health are now aggressively conducting contact tracing. This is an imported case, and the patient is now in isolation to prevent the potential spread of the disease. She arrived in Grenada from the United Kingdom on March the 16th. She became symptomatic on March the 17th and was subsequently tested. I assure you that our very capable medical team have been actively following up and engaging in contact tracing. We are already moving to isolate and monitor several other individuals who were in close contact with the patient. This will continue for the next 14 days at minimum. The patient is exhibiting mild symptoms, so we are encouraged, but we are not complacent. In keeping with standard protocol, the Ministry of Health has reported this confirmation of our first case to the World Health Organization and to the Pan American Health Organization. As the state of Grenada continues to aggressively monitor its ports and implement additional stringent methods to further protect our nation, the general public is urged to follow the safety advice and guidance of the Ministry of Health, practice proper hygiene, and maintain social distancing of at least 6 feet. The public is also advised to report or inform the Ministry of Health or nearest health facility of any possible or suspected persons displaying acute respiratory symptoms at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to a new phase, a phase of making sure that this deadly disease does not spread within our shores. It is here. We have the confirmation. And therefore, I implore you that we need to maintain the social distancing, but we must have the discipline as well to do it. We are aware of individuals in our society who do not have the discipline to date to maintain the social distancing. And these irresponsible individuals are putting the rest of us at risk. As such, the ministry and the government, in conjunction with the police, RGPF, will be taking the necessary actions as we move forward to ensure as best as possible that social distancing is maintained by all who are here in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. So we still have, as I mentioned, we have the Acting Chief Medical Officer, Dr. George Mitchell, and of course the COVID-19 Response Coordinator, that's Dr. Francis Martin, sorry, and the COVID-19, I'm mixing up my names, and the COVID-19 Response Coordinator, Dr. George Mitchell, with us. Gentlemen, you care to make a statement?
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson, and good afternoon to our listening public, citizens all, and those who are also listening internationally. We were in our importation and isolation and community transmission phase for quite a while. We have now gotten our official imported case, and as such, we are in full gear for community transmission, or in other words, to avoid community transmission. It is in this regard I make a plea to our citizens that to avoid community transmission is very simple. You avoid being in contact and within 6 feet of people. In other words, we want to encourage social distancing. I am aware, I have received numerous reports of families who are still congregating, persons who are still having sessions, as we call it. I am strongly advising against it. I'm strongly advising against social gatherings. I was told that guys get by the bars sometimes, under a tent, around the barbecue stand, and just having fun. Colleagues, these are not simple times. And as a nation, we must understand that this is not simple times. Community transmission must be stopped at all costs. I want to remind you that the World Health Organization, through the epidemiological studies, have shown that on average, one symptomatic person can pass this on to 2.6 persons. And after about 10 generations of passing this on to persons, if there is 10 generations of passing it on, over a period of 5 to 6 days, countries can see up to 3,500 persons becoming infected with this virus. These are very, very frightening numbers. I implore on all our citizens, this is the time to be a brother's keeper. This is a time for you, if you see your neighbors or you see someone that is behaving in a reckless manner that can spread this virus, I recommend that you speak to them and help us in the process. We hope that the legal arm would also help us during that problem. Our COVID coordinator, Dr. Mitchell, will continue to lead the fight and lead the activities going forward, but there's only so much he can do. We as a nation do have a responsibility to stop community transmission at this point.
Just to say before we hand over to questions, as a result of us finding our first case in Grenada, it does give the Sanitary Authority, Minister of Health, and the CMO, Chief Medical Officer, and Dr. George Mitchell, additional powers and strength which we intend to exercise to the fullest wherever necessary in order to protect our citizens of Grenada.
Thank you, Minister and Dr. Francis Martin. So we will now accept questions.
Minister.
As part of the protocol, which is normally, and you will see with most other nations, normally implemented when you have your first case, we started implementing that protocol regardless, approximately a week and a half ago, which is a gradual shutdown. The schools closing, the requesting of the private sector, of the minimizing of individuals coming to work, only necessary people wherever possible, and if people can work from home, to allow them to do that. The travel restrictions, continued and increased travel restrictions, to the point where when it becomes obvious that the rest of the world, if other countries have been as lucky as we have been to have found that while up until yesterday we did not have a case, almost every other country in the world did. So at that point, the next step, whether you have a case or not, would be to shut your port to passengers, your airport. So we implemented that yesterday. It was a very timely decision. It was obviously the right decision, because today I am here facing the nation to say that we had our first imported case. And according to the protocol, it would be only today that we should be announcing and putting those measures in place and giving people further notice in order for it to happen. Thankfully, we had the foresight and the strength to, in this instance, vary from the protocol as over an abundance of caution. And as such, I do believe that we are staying slightly ahead in keeping our citizens as safe as possible.
What's up next to the exemption for Wednesday?
The exemption for Wednesday is simply because at this point in time, as a Minister of Health, dealing with an imminent crisis, having your first import, I want to get as many people as possible off the island. We do have foreign nationals here, and we want to ensure that our foreign nationals get off the island. There are still some tourists here. There are still some other foreign nationals here who desire to get off, and therefore will be less of a burden on this state, a medical burden on this state, should they be widespread. And then also on the other side, we may have, as we have seen in some of the flights, we have seen maybe 10 or 20 on each flight coming forward, Grenadians who live here and are coming home here to ride this storm out. So it is possible that British Airways will also bring individuals who are Grenadians who are choosing to come home at the last flight or this last flight. Just to say, to preempt what I would think would be your next question, the treatment of those individuals coming home with respect to quarantine would be very different. Because we now have, as I said, because we now have officially the first scientifically proven case, although I've been saying it's there but we haven't found it. We now have the first scientific proven case, so we now have the strength and the ability to act with a higher level of authority with respect to quarantine, etc. The request or the allowing of that British Airways flight, when we made the decision, that was the only flight that we had confirmation of that was taking people off island, that had said they are coming to this date, and had informed individuals who they had flown in here previously in the last couple of days, weeks, months, that is their last flight, and they actively contacted all of their individuals and also told us this would be their last flight. The other airlines up until then had said they would keep flying until it was either not possible from their home ports or not possible because we had closed. So that is why that British Airways flight is being allowed to take individuals off, whereas with all the others, they had simply said, we will remain flying as long as you remain open. So as far as we are concerned, because we have closed as of midnight on Monday, then all of the others are and expect to immediately stop flying as well.
As regards to our confirmed case, Can you give us some further information, travel history, and if, I know you can't disclose the identity of the individual, but to tell us basically on information you have now, is it a mild case or?
Yes, the individual so far, the patient is exhibiting mild symptoms. So far, mild symptoms. The individual did travel in to the state on the 16th of March, as I said, and also started displaying those symptoms on the 17th, was tested on the 19th. We got the test results back close to midnight last night. Now, with respect to travel, in order to assist, in my hand here, I've just taken away from the individuals that we were using for contact tracing. Here is the entire manifest list of the flight the individual came in on, and all of the individuals, including the seating arrangement. That is part of our contact tracing that we are currently involved in. The seating arrangement in order to contact any of those who sat next to the individual within a certain radius. That is a standard. The individual, according to our investigation, was not displaying symptoms when they were on the flight, but we are still making sure that the necessary protocols are followed in terms of contact tracing for individuals who were on that flight.
Minister, let me just ask quickly, as you mentioned about the contact tracing, how soon will we have any information as to what might be the status with anybody else that you would have had to interview?
With respect to contact tracing, but I allow the doctors to confirm or to add to it, anyone that we believe may have been in contact with that individual, we are getting in touch with if we have not already gotten in touch with, and have under strict surveillance and quarantine. Now, it is only if any of those individuals develop symptoms that we can go further to test. But after maybe midway into their quarantine period, i.e. between now and the next 7 days, we probably would test those individuals anyway, whether they are showing symptoms or not, just to be sure. But for now, only the individuals that were in contact that display symptoms would be tested, because as far as we're concerned right now, anyone that was in contact with them is a risk or has a risk of being infected, and therefore they're being strictly quarantined and observed. Doctors Martin or George?
Good morning to the media. Good morning to everyone listening everywhere. Minister, you're correct. That is the protocol we're going to follow. We just would like to put an alert all those folks, and if you're listening as well and you have been or think that you may be exhibiting symptoms, to call our hotline, and we will have our folks interview you, check you, so that you're okay. At least you're comfortable. So that is the protocol we are going to be following. Dr. Sean is our guru where that is concerned, and we expect, together with the folks at SGU, that we will do this as thoroughly as it's humanly possible.
Dr. Martin, can you explain so that people will be able to differentiate when we say mild symptoms, what exactly are we talking about here?
For the symptomatology of COVID, mild means fever, sore throat, possibly coughing or sneezing. There is some evidence, the science is still building, but we have to start talking about it early, because we have always been proactive in this response. There's some evidence that there is gastrointestinal symptoms associated with it as well. So although when the science just came out, it was about fever, sore throat, coughing and sneezing, we can now add at the bottom mild gastrointestinal symptoms as well. And gastrointestinal means vomiting and diarrhea.
Someone is asking, my apologies, if Liat is still flying based on the last advisory that we were sent out, if Liat is still flying because they're seeing information showing that flights are still available.
There are limited flights on Liat right now. For instance, Liat has already canceled the flights between Grenada and Trinidad because Trinidad had closed its ports once it had its first series of imports. We have announced as of Monday night, midnight, so we would expect the airlines on their own to begin their decrease and if not complete cessation of flights by Monday midnight.
Dr. Martin, I have a question here. Can someone be a healthy carrier of COVID-19?
Healthy carriers are normal in virology. There are a lot of people who can carry a virus without displaying any symptoms, and you call these people healthy carriers. Let me preempt what the next question might be. Can healthy carriers spread the virus? I know this has been on people's mind for quite a while. Again, the science is very, very limited on that. The science seems to suggest that the highest infective stage is the early mild symptomatic stages of the virus. As I indicated, the World Health Organization's report suggests and indicates that the transmissibility of the virus happens between the fifth and sixth days of approximately 5 and 6 days of symptoms, and that's the highest. And so take that in mind as science develop. We're going to change, of course, we change our approach depending on how the science develops.
Is any family member of the confirmed case showing any symptoms or have been tested as a result?
The family members, or I probably shouldn't say family members, but the close contacts of the of our index case or zero case also has mild symptoms, doing very, very well. Through our contact tracing procedures over the next couple of days, we're going to decide on when to test and who to test, because as a matter of natural medical thinking, if there's close contact, one person has the case, you have to assume that the others are positive as well. So we're going to watch that situation and deal with it as it develops. We do have the capacity to test based on our index case. We checked yesterday with our epidemiologist, and we're satisfied that we have the ability to test our immediate requirements for testing. What's going to determine and what is going to affect our ability to test is community transmission. I really need to enforce this and reinforce this as a nation, as a people. Let us avoid having to deal with a situation where we need widespread community testing. I really hope we do not reach that stage, and we could only stay away from that stage based on the efforts of our people, the efforts of our citizens to avoid social gatherings and to take the precautions that we've been preaching. Wash your hands with soap and water, use hand sanitizer, avoid being in 6 feet of other persons, be careful with what you do, wipe your door handles. If our citizens follow this, we will never reach to a stage where we need to do widespread testing, because we'll never reach to a stage where we have widespread community transmission. Citizens, we need to stop widespread community transmission so that we don't have the need for widespread testing.
The capacity historically in Grenada over the last 2, 3, 4 decades has been somewhere between 4 and a best of 5 ventilators total. We received 4 additional ventilators, so we now have physically on island 8, and we have between now and Monday already confirmed in possession somewhere between another 10 to, and I'm still hoping to bring that up to an additional 20 ventilators, which would basically, with the 4 ventilators that we had, we are close in terms of ratio of per capita to ventilators than any of the first world nations. But if you add the additional 15 that we're expecting, it brings us way up and a greater capacity per population than most of the other first world nations. I do hope that we don't need to use all of those 15 ventilators. This would be for the most serious cases. And the one way that we can make sure that quite possibly doesn't happen is to stop the irresponsible behavior. There are individuals out there who are Grenadian, who speak English, who can hear, who can see, and who know. They have not been living under a rock for the past 3 months. There are individuals out there who are very much aware that this is a global pandemic. There are individuals out there who have heard us say they should be quarantined. And most definitely, there are individuals, all individuals have heard us say, maintain the social distancing. But there are still people out there who choose to ignore it and somehow think that either one, that they are superheroes and they can't get it, or two, don't care enough about the rest of us and choose to continue their activities and put the rest of us in danger. That, I'm not saying that has to stop, that will stop as of now with the Ministry of Health and we as a people. Like any other society, you cannot prevent an individual committing a crime, but there are measures in place for when someone commits a crime and they are caught. It is now, based on the authority of the sanitary, based on the authority that the sanitary authority has, it is now seen as a crime. It is now a crime to disobey the instructions of the CMO and the sanitary authority, i.e. Dr. George Mitchell and the Minister of Health and the Ministry of Health personnel, which is a criminal offense and also gives us the authority to forcefully quarantine anyone out there that is carrying out irresponsible behavior, which is whether you are an individual on your own, not maintaining the social distancing, whether you are the owner of a private business that is allowing activities to continue on your property that is not maintaining the social distancing, or whether you are a group of individuals who decide to celebrate or continue to celebrate whatever occasion it is, and you don't maintain the social distancing. Any and all of you are, one, terribly irresponsible, putting the rest of us at risk, have no excuse, and as such will be dealt with accordingly, if not by us in the Ministry of Health and police and the law, but by our own people who will never forget you if you too are part of the cause of possible community spread in Grenada.
Total is one of the world's largest oil companies with a top quality line of lubricants. Total Lubricants has a full product line from passenger cars, motorcycle, heavy industrial equipment, mining, trucking, agriculture, and manufacturing machines and vehicles. Total Lubricants, winning championships in motorsports, including Formula One and World Rally Championships. Total Lubricants are available at all Rubis service stations, leading automotive shops, and distributed by Huggins.
Whenever we're faced with difficulties, we find comfort in those we know and trust. This is especially true when a loved one has died.
Welcome to Otway Bailey Funeral Home.
For over 100 years, Otway Bailey Funeral Home has helped families celebrate the lives of their loved ones with compassion and dignity. Our affordability, attention to detail, warm and caring staff has contributed us being the funeral home of choice for official and state funerals. We treat you as we would treat our own family. All of our services are designed to help you get through one of the most personal and challenging stages of life. Whether it's planning a funeral, joining our our burial society or pre-arrangements. You can be assured of the Otway Bailey commitment to consistently provide the most caring and professional service possible with the best options and price. So call us 440-2558 or visit our website otwaybaileyfuneralhome.org.
At Otway Bailey, we offer the perfect tribute any family can afford.
Why not stay in, turn off the alarm clock, and sleep some more on your perfect mattress from Quartz? For the widest range of mattresses from the world's best brands, the best value guaranteed. Shop today and let our sleep experts help you to decide on the best option to suit your needs. At Quartz, we don't just sell mattresses, we're offering you the best night's sleep. So, sleep in a little on your new mattress from Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home.
Once upon a time, we shopped at Wonderland, then Neverland. But we're all grown up now and no longer believe in fairy tales. So now we just shop at Shoes R Us. At Shoes R Us, we stock the latest in shoes, tops, and jeans for the fashion-conscious lady. We also carry colognes and much, much more. And for the modern trendy male, we have the latest brand name shoes and sneakers, Converse, Reebok, Nike, K-Swiss, Puma, and much more. So check us out at our two convenient locations, Melville Street in St. George and Ben Jones Street in Granville. At Shoes R Us, we say, come shop with us.
It's detox time again at Nirvana Natural Health Clinic Detox Center. The festive season is over, so let's start 2020 looking and feeling like a boss with our many body cleansing options. Purchase detox products as low as $50. Purchase detox combo packs as low as $100. Receive 10% off on all in-house colonic irrigation treatment. Take control of your health now. Don't delay. Call us on 231-6642, 418-7115, or 449-7753. We are located in Belmont, St. George's, close to the Fall Edge area. These offers are valid from January to March or while stocks last. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic Detox Center. Detox your way to health.
Welcome back to Good Morning Grenada. It is 18 and a half minutes after 7. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it's not business as usual. We have been diagnosed with our first confirmed case of COVID-19. And on the line to share some more information with us is Grenada's COVID-19 response coordinator, Dr. George Mitchell. Good morning, Dr. Mitchell.
Good morning, Blossom, and good morning to your listeners out there.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know it is, like I said, not business as usual.
Absolutely not business as usual.
Organization has announced today.
For the people. Yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. Yesterday, we announced officially that we found our first positive case of COVID-19. And I just wanted to add quickly that we did say that as soon as we find that case, we will announce it to the nation. And this is exactly what we did. Sunday, even though it was a Sunday, we pulled the team together and made the announcement. We did not even want to wait on Monday morning. That case was confirmed to us by our reference lab in Carrefour, Trinidad, on Saturday night after 11 p.m. So you could just imagine, just wanted to put that out there that we did say that we will give the nation the information as soon as it came to hand, and we followed up on that. We made good on that.
What can you tell us about the person that has been diagnosed in terms of the symptoms, her condition, isolation, quarantine, and so on, and including the people who have been in immediate contact with her?
Okay, so that individual came into Grenada on the 16th of March, as we announced yesterday. On the 17th, started to feel unwell and did go to a physician. That physician, knowing what the protocol is, immediately got in touch with our department, and we advised, that is based on our travel history, based on the fact that she's coming from an area, she's coming from the UK, where we know that there is mass community transmission of the virus. We decided that she should be quarantined at home and don't leave her house. And we arranged for the swab to be taken. And that is basically what happened. The swab results came back Saturday night, as I said before. Yes, we've been told, and I have been speaking with the household, that there are other members of the family who are experiencing flu-like symptoms. We don't know what it is. We are going to follow up on that today and have them tested. As far as we're concerned, they are not dying. They seem to be in very good spirits. I spoke late yesterday afternoon, and I'm about to give them a call again to make sure that they're doing well. But none of them are ill, lying in bed, dying as far as we know.
In terms of when the swab was taken and the results, there's a period of approximately 4 days. What accounts for that duration of time?
Well, remember, we are testing in the lab in Kafir, as I said before. We have to take the swabs, we have to package them. We're not sending swab one by one, it's just too complex. So in her case, she went down with a batch of other swabs that we had collected from other individuals that we sort of like suspected folks that were, in different scenarios. And that sort of like accounted for the time period between taking the swab and getting the result.
The self-isolation, I understand there are a few people who are not adhering to the protocols. What measures are in place to ensure that people actually adhere to doing self-quarantining, as well as ensure that we enforce those rules and regulations that we may have?
Blossom, this has been a troubling area for us, and we spent many hours discussing that last night. Yes, you can tell persons that this is required, this is the protocol, because literally we're talking about hundreds of persons. It has been difficult to police to make sure that it happens, but I could tell you something. We are going to step up on ensuring that persons who we have asked to self-quarantine do that. I would not be here on the radio this morning to say how exactly we're going to do it, but we are discussing with all our parties, including the RGPF, to ensure that this happens. And it is one thing to curtail people's freedom, so we are calling on persons to please heed the call. And if you know you have returned into the country in recent days and we have asked you to self-quarantine, please do so.
In terms of the capacity that we have, how many quarantine or isolation centers do we have island-wide? I know you can't disclose the location, but how many do we have and what's the capacity? How many people can we isolate at one time?
So we're talking about two different things here. We're talking about quarantine facilities and we're talking about isolation. Let's get that distinction correct.
Sure.
So we mentioned on several occasions that we have quarantine facilities limited, to say the least, in different areas of the country. We've been just using those in the St. George's area because of the proximity to the airport. We have had to sort of like take persons from the airport to these quarantine centers, and you don't take someone from the international airport to somewhere in St. Andrews or St. David's. It just does not make logistical sense. So that is in terms of quarantine, and we've been looking at other areas in the country as the situation evolves, as the situation develops. So we've been looking at several areas. In terms of isolation, now isolation is only necessary for a very sick person that is in need of the kind of care that cannot be afforded elsewhere at your home, for example, because most of the persons who are going to be in self-quarantine would not require that kind of attention. So persons in isolation are persons who are sick, who are having respiratory failure, respiratory problems, and you need to mechanically ventilate them. And so, yes, our current isolation facility is at the General Hospital, and we have commissioned or about to commission another building that we have retrofitted on the same compound at the General Hospital that has more capacity.
And with the announcement of the first confirmed case, yesterday you pointed out that we're entering a new phase. Tell us what that phase entails and what can Grenadians do to help the government, the ministry, and the country continue to fight?
The new phase really is ensuring, Blossom, that we follow all persons who we have asked to quarantine and make it happen. And as I said, there were long discussions yesterday afternoon into the night as to how we will operationalize this, because it is absolutely important that persons who have returned in recent weeks and recent days stay home. We believe that if you stay home, then the possibility of transmitting disease out there in the community is extremely limited. Stay home, self-quarantine, isolate yourself from other persons in the house, and in that way ensure that you don't pass it on to anybody else. So we are going to operationalize mechanisms. We are going to look into and track down as many of these persons who came in recently to ensure that that is happening. So we will be stepping up seriously on that, and for us, this would be the key issue at this point, to ensure that persons who have come back in recent times stay home, observe the mandatory quarantine so that they don't spread the disease.
As part of the measures as well, we have stopped all passenger flights from coming into the island. What's the step for our seaports and protection of those borders?
Seaports, we cannot at this time close our borders to bring in food, so to speak. So the measures regarding passenger airline does not affect our seaports. What we have done, however, is to say to all these cargo ships that their crew on board are not welcome to disembark.
All right. And finally, before I let you go, Dr. Mitchell, in terms of contact tracing, what are steps being taken to trace the passengers who are on board that flight, as well as I saw a report yesterday that some of the passengers traveled to the sister isle of Carriacou. Have we made contact with those passengers as well?
Yeah, one of the first things that was done yesterday, once we got information, was to get the manifest. In other words, every single person who came on that aircraft, I had it physically in my hand, or epidemiologist now has that information, and we will be doing this in a very scientific way. The persons, we know where that passenger was seated, and so we will pan out, so to speak, for those persons who were closest to her outwards. That is as much as we can do. That is what we will do today. And in relation to her family, where she is, we will also be doing stringent and meticulous contact tracing to find as many persons, or every person who has been potentially exposed. So this work is being led by our epidemiologists as we speak, and we will leave no stones unturned in trying to find out who these persons have been in contact with, and try to ensure that these persons too are self-quarantined.
And any tracings for the folks in Carriacou who are possibly on that plane as well?
As I said, Blossom, we have the manifest, and we will be following up based on the list that we have.
All right. And the plane on Wednesday, God willing, I remember the advisory saying we're stopping all passenger crafts, but BA is coming in on Wednesday. That's still happening?
I think there has been a relook of that decision, and it will be publicized. If it has not been publicized last night, the new thinking on that will be publicized this morning.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us, Dr. Mitchell. I'll let you get back to what needs to be done as we continue to fight COVID. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, Blossom.
All right. That was Grenada's COVID-19 response coordinator, Dr. George Mitchell, giving us an update as Grenada records its first confirmed case of the COVID-19 coronavirus here in the Isle of Spice. We're going to take a quick break and come back inside and see if we can maybe lighten up the mood just a little bit and get into this morning's topic of the day. Well, then again, it may not be, you know what? Never mind. But we'll get into topic of the day. Let's take a quick break and come back inside. This is Good Morning Grenada. Stick and stay right here.
Imagine having more money in your pocket every month. Imagine finally doing that home improvement project you've been thinking of. Imagine investing in yourself through education, land ownership, or even a business venture. It's time to stop imagining and start doing. Let the GUT Credit Union get you on your way with fantastic rates, affordable repayments, and reduced legal fees. Consolidate your debts, get better terms on your mortgage, use your home equity to make those dreams a reality. Act now. One lucky member will get 0% on their loan for the first year. For more information, call 440-1354. GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
Theatre Company and the cast of the historical drama Julian Fedor wish to advise of the postponement of this production, which was previously scheduled for 28th and 29th of March, as well as the 4th and 5th of April.
This postponement is due to the recently announced measures by Grenada's public health authorities in response to the threat of coronavirus.
Heritage Theatre is fully supportive of these measures and encourages all patrons, as well as the general public, to fully comply with them.
As well as with other advice given by the Ministry of Health and official bodies like the World Health Organization on steps to be taken to keep the nation safe.
These measures include the following. First of all, do not panic. Avoid large crowds and wash hands regularly with soap and water.
Please pay special attention to how you interact with the elderly and other vulnerable persons. Try to resist touching your face, and most of all, treat yourself as if you have the virus and want to avoid passing it on to anyone else.
We eagerly look forward to staging the play once we're given the green light to do so. Meanwhile, we ask patrons hold on to your tickets as they will be honored when the play is staged.
We would like to take this opportunity to thank all our sponsors, including our title sponsors, the Grenada Broadcasting Network and the Grenada Cooperative Bank, as well as those who have collaborated with us thus far in the preparation of this production.
We thank you, our patrons, for your understanding and continued support.
Let us work together to overcome this challenge.
Boyo, they gonna fly with kite now. The wind picking up.
I'm coming. Karim, what you doing?
Fly my kite.
Yeah, but not here. You can't fly kite near power lines, boy.
Why not? The wind good.
Because mommy say kite threads conduct electricity.
Yeah, kite. He's right. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, it can cause power outages, or even worse, it can get shocked.
Come, They're going to fly them in the pasture.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kite threads conduct electricity. Do not fly kites near overhead power lines. This can lead to electric shocks and power outages. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, do not try to retrieve it. Release it and call Grenlec. Always fly kites in open areas. Keep your kites far away from roads. And remember, always clean up after yourself.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Total is one of the world's largest oil companies with a top quality line of lubricants. Total Lubricants has a full product line from passenger cars, motorcycle, heavy industrial equipment, mining, trucking, agriculture, and manufacturing machines and vehicles. Total Lubricants, winning championships in motorsports, including Formula One and World Rally Championships. Total Lubricants are available at all Rubis service stations, leading automotive shops, and distributed by Huggins.
Why not stay in? Turn off the alarm clock and sleep some more on your perfect mattress from Quartz. For the widest range of mattresses from the world's best brands, the best value guaranteed. Shop today and let our sleep experts help you to decide on the best option to suit your needs. At Quartz, we don't just sell mattresses, we're offering you the best night's sleep. So, sleep in a little on your new mattress from Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home.
It's Detox.
Welcome back to Good Morning Grenada. 23 and a half minutes to 8 o'clock. Just as a note, we just spoke with the Grenada's COVID-19 response coordinator, Dr. George Mitchell, and for this morning's To The Point, we are expecting to speak with the Acting Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Francis Martin, again via telephone to give us some more information as it relates to COVID, Grenada's fight, and the first case. So because the interview will be done via telephone, those of you who usually call the program and may have questions that you would like to ask Dr. Martin, I suggest you either check out the program on the GBN Television Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, or you can add Classic FM to your WhatsApp contact so you can pose your questions there. The number is 435-2041. And of course, GBN Television Facebook page and Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, making sure I give you the information so you can get ready up yourself for 9 o'clock in case you have questions, comments, queries, concerns, because our guest would be via telephone, or as my new word lately, it will be a telephonic interview. Yes, he will be joining us telephonically. Yes, I'm inventing words under this new dispensation. All right, and as we get it together and we step up into the next phase of dealing with COVID, what I want to hear from you, our viewers and listeners, our topic of the day: how are you dealing with the latest advisory re our 1, the first confirmed case of the virus; 2, restrictions as it relates to passenger aircrafts. I understand there are a number of people at MBIA this morning going on the advice that the airport will be closed as of midnight tonight. However, in the revision, it was closed midnight last night. So I understand there was, quote unquote, a little bit of chaos at MBIA this morning. So call us and let us know how you're dealing with the latest developments. 435-2041. What advice can you give to our viewers and our listeners as it relates to dealing and coping with the latest developments, the latest news, Grenada's first confirmed case of COVID-19. How are you and your family prepared? What advice can you give to your fellow Grenadians as we deal with it? Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning.
Hello, yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I missed when you were speaking with Dr. Mitchell, but I need to know, I'm in the vulnerable group. I'm very vulnerable because not only am I of the age group, but I have a very chest complaint, which was sort of diagnosed recently.
Understood.
What I would want to know first and foremost, as I said, I missed the program. The person that was discovered, are you allowed to say which area so that people could have, we don't want to know the name of the person or anything, but which area is the person from? And I assume that the person is hospitalized. And my second question is, and I heard you say that 9 o'clock you'd be giving, answers to questions. But what about, I don't have Facebook and things like that, so I can only do it by the phone. So are you saying that we won't be able to call 435-2041?
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. Let me see if I can remember all the questions. In terms of stating where the person is from, the authorities are not naming, they have not and are not naming the community, the village, or the parish. Should I say parish? Yes, the parish where the first, or as they are calling the patient zero, or first confirmed case, to avoid panic. Case in point, just week before, they named a resort that a patient that was confirmed in St. Lucia was staying at, and it caused all kind of quote-unquote problems. So to do that with a small community as we have in Grenada would create further problems. So they are not and have not named the community where the woman is staying. In terms of her hospitalization, I don't recall them saying she is hospitalized. Since coming into the island last week, she was self-quarantined at home, and I'm not sure if I heard them say she's still at home or if she has been placed in a government quarantine center. I am not too sure about that one. What was the third question? The third point was in terms of in terms of the 9 o'clock, because of the new guidelines, our first case, the 6 feet, we are reducing / eliminating having guests come into the studio because of the size of the studio and in keeping with our protocols here at the GBN. So we are having our guests phone in, or we call them, and we'll have them on the telephone doing the programs. And in that light, the telephone line will be occupied with our guests in the coming days, months, weeks. So for the 9 o'clock with Dr. Martin, he will be our telephonic guest. And that way the lines would not be available for questions. If you were calling from, I'm not sure where I can advise you. If you're not on the WhatsApp number, if you do not have a phone personally, maybe you can borrow somebody in your household phone, just disinfect it before you use it, to get in contact or to pose your questions. For now, it can't really be helped in terms of facilitating our telephone calls. So that's why I'm giving our viewers and callers, listeners, an hour and something to ready up, as we say, to prepare for the 9 o'clock. So until an alternative is sourced or is gotten to facilitate our guest with the advancement of technology, we are looking into alternatives. But in the meantime, our guests will be via telephone, so the lines will be occupied. I think I saw, yes, the phone is ringing. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Blossom. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope your weekend was good.
It was so.
Blossom, my greatest concern is public transport. Why? It's because I traveled on bus this morning and there's no protocol whatsoever. Everybody's jamming against each other. You have persons coughing, maybe using the etiquettes or not, but there's nothing in place here that would help protect. Social distancing is not even being seen as something that is important so far this morning. It's a great concern to me because not everybody has public transport, and we understand that people still have to go to work, but something needs to be done as it relates to that.
I'm sorry, where you took the bus from? Which area?
I took the bus from St. Andrews to St. George's, plus I took a bus from St. George's to my workplace.
Workplace is in Grandlands?
No. Okay. Well, there is bus for Grandlands working still, I can say that.
Okay, that's what I was checking.
Yeah, I saw a couple buses in transporting persons, and they were all full.
And in terms of St. Andrew, all buses, most of them are operating in St. Andrew as normal?
Most of them are operating. I go with a normal bus every morning, one particular bus. and that bus run this morning, as well as I saw a couple of the others running as well, picking up passengers. So most of the buses in St. George's and is running.
Okay.
Is running. Based on what I'm saying, I'm just concerned about the people. You know, I know that everybody would want to go to work, or everybody would have to go to work. Those who have to, but something needs to be done. And while I understand that I know that the minister said yesterday that the bus drivers should take fewer people, but some of the bus drivers would see that difficult because, remember, everybody has to go to work for a certain time. So if one bus normally passes, let's say 7:15 every morning, and they pick up a certain amount of passengers, how does that work? Do I leave my regular customer on the street because I already have the exceeded amount that I'm supposed to have on my bus? You understand where I'm coming from?
Understood.
So it's a hard situation, but we need to put some protocols in place, understanding that maybe some workplace might have to understand that their workers would have to come a little later because, you know, it's a certain amount of people allowed on the bus, so they would miss their trip, but something has to be done.
Thank you very much, caller. Caller, something you said and I recognize the voice. Good morning, darling. I shall see you shortly. In terms of public transportation, I think this is one of the areas where we shouldn't depend on others to protect ourselves. We know the situation with public transport, especially in the mornings where you can't really pick and choose which bus you travel on, especially if you have a quote-unquote special bus. This is where our personal protection equipment comes into play, PPE. Have your hand sanitizers, have your own masks, because one, buses are not, well, at least not all buses are providing that for their passengers, and two, don't depend on others to protect yourself. Have your mask. You can have a scarf in your face if you don't have a mask, although I'm not sure how helpful the scarf will be, but at least, you know, you're trying a little something. Have a mask in your face, hand sanitizers. You have the option to hop off the bus too. I know, it's tough sometimes. You can't just hop off the bus because that's when you'll get to your destination, it's true. But sometimes better late than I end up deathly sick. I remember when back in the days when I used to travel when I used to use public transportation, if a bus is driving recklessly too fast, I would heave off. I'll drop the bus. I don't pay because you didn't bring me to my destination safely, for one. And two, I feel like I need to protect myself. If you're not going to protect me, I'm going to protect myself. So I drop off the bus when you're driving recklessly. So if you're in a bus that's jammed up and you don't feel safe, you have the option of dropping. Under this new dispensation, hopefully our employers would understand our circumstances, why I got to work an hour late because I had to drop off a bus because there were two people coughing and everybody jam up. I think it's 17 that should be in a bus. It had 20 people in the bus. So if the bus, we can't depend on people to protect us, protect ourselves. Either drop from the bus, walk with your personal protection equipment, hand sanitizer, scarf, gloves, something or the other, if you need to travel on public transportation. Good morning.
Good morning, Blossom.
Good morning.
In the light of the current development, I would think that the issue of public transportation should be given priority in finding a solution to the ongoing need for people to go to work and to maybe do other essentials, and also their safety. I went to town on Friday, and I might have compromised myself because I was sandwiched in the bus I was going down and the bus I was coming up. So in spite of all the speeches I've been given on the radio over the last few weeks, people's life, even those of us who are here and wants to comply with protocols, are in danger. And then people who need specific situations, I mean, it's very difficult. I know it's a very difficult thing, but sometimes maybe rather than give the impression that all is well, we need to look into the smaller detailed things, particularly now, the transportation. Unfortunately, on Friday, I saw something which has me thinking I'm still in a dream. School was closed down last week. But you see a lot of children, young people in town Friday. And you ask yourself, why? School was sent off so that the children could be safe, but the children were allowed to be in the buses and compromising the life of these young, innocent children. Or the teenagers and so on.
Thank you.
I think we really need to understand this is a serious thing. Thanks.
Thank you very much, caller. As Dr. Mitchell said, having people adhere to the self-quarantine protocol has been a challenge, and they'll be definitely stepping up on those measures now that Grenada has confirmed its first case. I don't know why we have to wait for us to have one or more cases before we really take it seriously and follow the protocol. Sometimes Grenadians' head just hard. But hopefully they'll listen now that they know it is actually in the spice aisle. So what are the measures that you're taking to cope with the arrival of COVID-19 or the confirmation of COVID-19 in Grenada? One person on WhatsApp says, I want to congratulate the COVID-19 team. They did a very good job, which was very informative. We hope that they can keep up the good work. I'm asking all Grenadians to cooperate in the best of their ability. Somebody says, I got very stressed yesterday when the announcement came, but after breathing deeply, I calmed down and told myself all will be well. Staying calm. That's very, very important in this time, to stay calm. Don't panic. We've been panicking before the confirmation. Now that it's confirmed, I could just see people running helter-skelter. We started doing some panic shopping a few weeks ago. Let's remain calm. Like the writer says, all will be well. Somebody says, I suggest that all persons traveling have a mask, otherwise no sitting for you. I agree. Good morning.
A pleasant good morning.
Good morning.
No, I have a very serious concern. During that interview with Dr. Mitchell, there's something he said that I cannot agree with, and a number of persons before me expressed that concern. And one of the things he said concerning somebody's self-quarantine, remaining home until such and such time. I mean, the fact is that people have to be disciplined and carry out simple rules. You cannot, he said, you can't curtail people's freedom. I mean, the doctor, for himself, this is a very serious situation that we're in worldwide, not Grenada alone. If I'm not mistaken, I was listening to BBC early this morning. I can't recall the country, but it is said where such rules are issued to the nation and people are found violating the rule, they'll be put in jail for 2 years. It is time that we in Grenada realize how serious, in particular, this epidemic is. And to say you can't curtail people's freedom, I don't agree with this at all. This is nonsensical. I mean, we have to protect ourselves, and people must get to realize, okay, the rule is you remain at home for such and such a time, and you do just as you are told. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When he said they can't curtail people's freedom, he wasn't saying that they won't enforce the rules. What he was saying is it's only an encouragement, a suggestion that you stay home, that you self-isolate and self-quarantine. That's what he was saying, not that people should just roam free and do as they please. But as grown people, one, we have a responsibility for ourselves and the minors in our charge. So as grown people, if we can't hear, like the saying go, who can't hear go feel. So if there are people who feel like they don't want to self-quarantine and they want to roam and gallivant, then sorry for y'all if all head too hard. Somebody on WhatsApp says, no, I can't divulge. Yes, I saw the social media post that said where the person was from. I won't divulge that piece of information. Good morning, miss. A bus would travel with 3 or 4 passengers. It is not feasible. Gas, for example, is too expensive. Understood, which is one of the reasons the Bus Association of Grenada said they would temporarily withdraw their service because of reduced revenue. They can't continue to operate with reduced revenue because they're having less passengers. And according to the release, there are a few suggestions they made to government that they have not heard response for as yet. So I can understand their need to not wanting to pong the road like some of the buses do with 2 and 3 passengers. I could get it, but at the same time, it's not normal times. We're not operating as usual. Let me see, what else is there? Somebody's calling the WhatsApp. We can't take the call. That same person is sending a voice note on WhatsApp. We can't listen to the voice note either. Type in your questions, please. I want to commend the Ministry of Health on their hard work and dedication at this time. I want to thank them and also the people of Cuba, and to call on the public to cooperate and the faith groups to pray. Yes, I saw that there are some Cuban medical officials arriving in the island yesterday to help us with our fight. Cuba has been spreading their medical expertise around the world. They are in Grenada, they are in a few other Caribbean islands, they are in the UK, I believe it is, and somewhere else, China. They've assisted China as well, so kudos to the Cubans. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm listening to the program, and I heard you said that the persons in charge, they're not going to say where, right? From me looking at world news like BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, what has been working for other countries who've been suffering from this for a very long time, they've been given texts like locations. They were sent a text, don't go to this area, or there's been an outbreak in this area. Because awareness is important. You don't want, as the minister said yesterday, or the doctor, about community spreading. My final point is that the doctor this morning said that the person was self-quarantined. And now family members are now experiencing flu-like symptoms. So it is important for us Grenadians to know where. Maybe you need to start quarantining or limiting transportation in that area. Because the persons who were not self-quarantined in the house are going out. They were not quarantined, so it's going to spread. These are the things that we need to be proactive with instead of reacting, and it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Where I can understand where you're coming from, the self-quarantine, hold on, let me gather my thoughts. The family members who are experiencing the flu-like symptoms were in the same residence that the patient 0 was self-quarantined in. They have also been told to self-quarantine as well since they reported their symptoms. In relation to messages about not going here and not going there, I don't think we are at that level as yet. Those messages are coming from what has been called COVID-19 hotspots, places like China and Italy, the UK, where there are thousands of cases, some hundreds in one day, and so on and so forth. We have not gotten to the point of a pandemic or an epidemic in Grenada as yet. Knock on wood, heaven forbid. So I don't think that it's important. Important is not the word. I don't think it is necessary at this time to be naming the community until we get to the point where we need to. Let me just read those messages on the WhatsApp before we go to BBC. Please ask the teenagers to stay home. I think they believe they can't get sick. That's another thing I saw as well. Teenagers or young people believing they are immune to the virus. Just yesterday, there was a report of a 32-year-old passing away, an 18-year-old passing away from the coronavirus, a 9-month-old baby that is in critical condition because of the virus. So not because you think you're young and you're sprightly means you can't be inflicted with the virus. So keep that in mind as well. There are messages circulating that there are 5 more cases in Grenada. Is that true? Please ask people to stop spreading wrongful information. According to the health officials, that is untrue. I saw that message on social media yesterday, as well as it relates to, I think, 5 or 6 other cases that have been confirmed. Those are false, fake, untrue, alternative facts, fake news, as of this morning. I think that's all the time we have for the moment. It's time to join the BBC for the 8 a.m. newscast. Stick and stay. This is your information center on GBN and Classic. Remember, in just an hour, we have this morning's To The Point. So add the Classic FM telephone number to your WhatsApp contacts. It's 435-2041, just in case you may have questions, queries, concerns to share with Dr. Martin, who will be our telephonic guest. Yes, my new word. This is GBN and Classic. Let's join the BBC for the 8 a.m. newscast. Those of you leaving us, have a splendid, productive Monday. Continue practicing proper sneeze and cough etiquette. Wash your hands, sanitize your hands, do what you need to do to protect yourselves and your loved ones. Have a good Monday. Stick and stay. Classic and the GBN.